In Affinity, you can create all kinds of spiral shapes super quick via the spiral tool. I'm going to show you how. I'm just going to show you PC or Mac. So where's the spiral tool? Just go down here to spiral tool, and with that selected, you can just click the document and add your first spiral. By default, you will see something probably like this, maybe in black, but I've got it currently in red. And what you can do, you can go down here with the context toolbar and just change the colour. You might want it, let's say, black instead. So where is this? Go to View and just down here to Context Toolbar and Show. Okay, so we've got all these settings. I've set the width to about 5.5. Obviously you can vary it, but just to make it obviously more visible for this tutorial. And you can modify a number of things along here and also the style. So I'm going to go through all the styles. The first one's linear, and you get this effect. So you can see the gap between those. They're all the same. Gap is the same. I can change this number of turns and I increase it. And again, as I increase it, now it doesn't increase the size of the bounding box. That doesn't suddenly go bigger. I think there should be a preference to do that, but I'm not aware of one. But what it does do, you've got more of these spiral arms. And also you can modify at a fine tune as well. Just click down here and you can see as you change that, you can get this. So slightly more or slightly less there as you just tweak that at the center. You can also modify this, the arc angle. And you can see as you change that, it does get slightly more unusual when you increase it and you end up something like that. And in the end, you get this. Also, if you go the other way, the best value seems to be 90. That's the default. But if you push it down and you want lots and lots of points or obviously nodes to manipulate, a really good way of doing that, just go here, arc angle, just push it down and then you get so 0. If you go for 0, you will get lots and lots of nodes to be able to work from, which is great if you convert this to a curve, which you can always just, any point, don't have to keep it as a spiral. You can always right click and convert to curves. And that means you'll be able to modify the individual nodes, maybe create sort of spiky designs, curved designs, different ways, stretch out the arms in different places. So I'm not going to do that here. And I'm just going to put it back to 90 because I don't want that many, but that's the default 90. You can also modify the inner radius. And all that does is it just crunches it out. You've got all the same settings for the others. It doesn't extend again the actual bounding box for this design. But you can see as you do that, you push it and it just becomes basically a circular ring all the way around. So you might want it to be 0 or something like 20 or 30, etc., depending on the spiral you want to create. You'll notice there's some other options here, and that's for linear as well. So you've got this one, use a cusp segments, which I must admit, I always find it slightly odd. I think just call it what it is, becomes square. That's what it is. I guess cusp segments, as it says, but you can see you can click back there so you can just change it if you want a square spiral, square spiral, whatever you want to call it. And also you can click here spiral clockwise, and that's the default, or counterclockwise, or anti-clockwise, I should say. Okay, you can see, put it like that. Okay, that's just linear. I think it creates some interesting spiral designs, but what you can also do is you've got this, which is probably a more conventional spiral, I think personally, is the decaying one. Certainly that was the one that whenever I saw in various graphic apps, quite often it was always a spiral one with this decaying effect. So you get to see the line, the gap just decreases all the way. You've got different settings as well. So you've got some of the same settings. You've got turns, so you can just decrease that, and you can see as you do that, you get something like that, which I think is quite nice. If you want to, you don't want it all crunched up at the centre, so obviously just setting it to say 3 or so, and you can still modify these other settings. But also this time you've got a decay, so you can just change that and make it near enough closer to that linear one just by doing that. And you can see you've also got other options here, decay per arc as well. So click that and you get a different design. Again, depending on what you want to do. And I think that's pretty useful. Again, very rapidly goes to that central position. So you might want to keep it fairly low value for the decay. Also, it gives a limit as well. So you can just change this and you can push this out so it will go further out. You can see as you do that, I think that's quite useful to have as well. Otherwise, it does just end up crunched at the center, I think. And there's also other options here. There's another one here, cap inside with circle. So you can click there. Now, let's just go there and you can see you get that circle, which you may or may not want, that circle design center, but that option is there available. Now, there are a few other ones here. You've got that thing that I just mentioned, the convert to curves. Normally, I just right click and convert to curve, but it's also available here as well. So you can see convert to curves, just converts it. And then, of course, it's no longer a spiral. All these settings are gone. So you can't. And also, there's other things here, transform objects separately. Obviously, in this case, I've only got one object. So let's go with the other options here. Now, we've got decaying. There's also semicircular as well. So semicircular, you get this sort of design, which I think is fine. But let's just go for some of the increase the settings. Sometimes to actually see the result, sometimes it's nice just to compare the two. So you've got there and semicircular. Very subtle difference. Now, I guess there is a difference, but it's still worth. So you can see, you can change that. I'd quite like that when it goes around like that, all the way to there. Okay, so you've got a few settings with that. You've got semicircular. I'm always surprised they haven't had any random ones. I still think that's one thing that's missing in a lot of features in Affinity. I would love to see some more randomized ones where it's a sort of random, sort of unusual, distorted circle spiral. Now, counter semicircular, you get that, which is actually probably my favourite one. I like the fact it goes that lovely in the centre there. You just got that lovely centre, it just joins centre, which I think makes a much nicer spiral design, certainly for my purposes generally. So if I decrease that so you can see it a bit clearer, you can see as it goes down, it goes out, and then obviously goes all the way out again like that. You've still got this option, so you can change this, and you can see now, instead of just obviously one end, it does both. And you can see, now in this case, it does seem to make it look like the bounding box is still the same, but it does sort of shrink in a bit, only because it's just squeezing it in that bounding box again. Then we've got this one, and don't ask me to say it, Fibonacci. Fibonacci, I always say it wrong, is one that I probably rarely use, but I guess it's useful if you're doing some mathematics. Obviously, it's a mathematical one that has, I guess, lots of uses, but personally, I don't think I've ever actually created a spiral here. And you can see if you change that, you get something like that. Again, there may be some uses if that's the type of spiral you want. And you've still got exactly the same option. You've got this option as well. So you can go for this, obviously, the cusp segments, as it says, or the reverse. So you can just do that, or spiral anti-clockwise. So let's just click that one and deselect that. And final one, plotted. Now, I quite like the plotted one, because the plotted one sort of gives you a near enough a sort of randomized feature. You got here this turns again. You can increase this, and you can see as you do that, it becomes more and more circular. Obviously, it just gets more and more, as you can still see the polygon structure there. But that's controlled by this, the division. So if you just change that, you can see what happens. If you go to 2, you just get a linear thing, which is pretty reasonable. Go to 2.65, you can see you get. And actually, quite often between certain things, you just suddenly hit these ones where it does look quite random. You get them all sort of crossing over each other, which I really like in my designs. So again, you can see that. And obviously, eventually you go past a certain point, and again, it near enough becomes the circular one, the linear one right at the start. And again, you can push this back, and as it goes there, it seems to become more. But I love that one, actually. That's a nice one. 4.15. Maybe there's some mathematical reason why that one just seems to look really good, but that's the 4.51. And again, you can modify inner radius, so you can see then you can change that. And also bias. And that's quite useful for creating some slightly interesting variations of that one crunch in the centre. So you just bias one way or the other way. Again, not so good because it's crunching in the centre. And you can see a whole load of different designs can be created using this spiral tool. Near enough unlimited amount of spiral designs, I think, combine them certainly with all these different settings. Because there's so many options, really useful feature to know with, well, actually all the shapes, is that you can go to this. just here. Doesn't look very much. Looks more like, to be honest, and whenever I look at it, always look like it's going to be a settings. You know, you would have a panel pop up with all settings. That's what it looks like to me. Doesn't look like presets. Don't know why they called that design presets, but that's the design they got. At the moment, you can see nothing in it. Well, just go here, create a preset. Obviously, I've got this selected, spiral, current spiral. So I can create a preset and I can give it a name. Obviously, I can give category maybe as well. Let's just put spiral 1, something very original. Spiral 1. It doesn't seem to offer a category here. So even though it seems to put it there. So click create. And there you got it. Now you've got this lovely little preview. Now the preview, I think then, let's see if I can move it. Oh, I have to move this to move it out of the way. Can't move that one. See, it looks sort of like it. Sometimes when these presets you get, they don't always look exactly. You'll always notice when you get your one, it always puts a little user one there. So you know it's not one of the ones. I do not know why they didn't supply a number of spiral presets. Very strange, but they didn't. So linear. Let's just go back to that. And again, I can do exactly the same. Just click here, presets, click there, and then again go here, create preset, and again, spiral 2. Of course, I could call it linear one. That would be more sensible. And again, unfortunately, that's over there. So click create. And you can also manage the presets as well, all those sort of things. You can do exactly the same in all of the other tools as well. Okay, so you've got your spiral, you've created your spiral. With this, you can, of course, once you've got it, you can then increase this. So that's quite good to be able to increase the stroke width. Now, there are actually some other tools that are really useful with this, because what you can also do is you can click here, edit stroke settings. So just click that. So with that, you've got option here for dashed. So you can create some nice dash designs for your spiral. And this is the same for all of the different spirals if you want to use that. And there's also other options. There's, let's just go down here. So what we've got here, we've just got those ones. So let's just close that. I can save that. So again, I can just go here to the presets, just click here, and let's just create a preset. Unfortunately, it doesn't think it's changed, because what it's storing is not the style. It doesn't store the style, I don't think. All it does is stores the actual settings for the spiral. So just be aware of that. If you think, oh, I've got a great design, but the workaround, always useful workaround, is always just to go to Window and then just down to General and just Assets. And in Assets, you could create a category. Just go here, create new category. Maybe let's just go and have one spirals. Maybe you can spell it correctly, and that will be good. Click OK. And now you've got another assets there. You've got all the other ones, of course, as well, but I've got spirals there now. So I'm just going to go with, click there, add from selection. And hopefully, yes, there is the spiral. So you can just save it away, store it away for future use. Now, once you've got your design, and I'm just going to go with this design because this is, I think it's reasonable. What you can do, if you want, you're finished with the spiral, you could, let's say, right click and good old convert to curves, or just go down here and convert to curves using this one. Or another option, you can always go to vector and you can expand stroke. So expand stroke and you get this sort of design, which is really good as well, because now you've got the thing is got fills. With fills, you can just click here, not using this, you can just click here and change the colour. Maybe go for a gradient or go for swatches. Let's go for gradients and maybe something like that. So you can create a variety of different spiral designs super quick using that. Also, you can go over here and let's just remove the assets now. Don't need that anymore. Let's just go to layers. It's just curves here. You can then go to effects, just click there. And in that, you can just go here to say 3D and just increase that. And you can see as you do change the radius, click close, you've now got obviously a spiral with a bit of added depth as well. Now the spiral can be rotated. Of course, at this point, I've actually had it at 45 degrees, so I can actually just rotate it around like that. As mentioned, I can convert the curves. So just go down here again and just click that. Now you've got the nodes. With this, you can then just hover over here and let's just go for the node tool. So there's the node tool, and you can see then maybe if you want a slightly more random spiral design, which personally I always like to create different designs like that. I don't want just a uniform spiral. I like to have slightly unusual angles like that and positions, and I can move that one there and that one there and so on. So you can see you can create a variety of different designs. Also, I can just go here now and I can just hit there, double click, I can add another one, double click again so you can get a curve, and you can manipulate it in even more ways you want. Just a slightly more random spiral design for your artwork. Now you've got this spiral, it's as a stroke. There's no fill. You can, of course, add a fill as well. You can simply click here, just go down there, and let's not go for a gradient. You can always, of course, go for something like that. So set it to red. Now, of course, you end up with this effect, which I don't think is very good, but you can also change this and also change this. So let's just change that so you can get all kinds of different spiral designs using this approach. But again, like I say, you've always got that. Now, if you go this one, let's just go for counter, you get that sort of design. So a whole variety of different designs can be created simply by just using this fill as well. As Affinity 3 now has all the vector features from Affinity Designer, another thing you can do, instead of using pixel, you can always go to vector, and in vector, you've got some options here. You've got the contour tool. Now, contour tool, if I just drag this out here, doesn't have such a great effect like that. Well, it's interesting. You get this line effect like this. Personally, I generally always work from a field design, but it does work from also a stroke as well. Though, personally, I generally always, if I use it, I just go here and let's just increase width there so it's bigger. And again, I can then expand it. So vector, expand stroke. So I've got this, and now with this, I can then go here. Just go to contour, click there, and I can just change this and reduce it down, modify this. And you can see you can get a variety of different designs simply by changing the settings down here. You can change the setting via this. So increase it or decrease it. It's create some unusual designs there. If you create a spiral and leave it as a vector, you can also apply pass brushes to it. Here's the pass brushes panel. You can find that in window and just down here to vector and then go down to pass brushes. There's a load of options. You can go for dry media, just click and you get a dry media spiral, or maybe go for this one, a woodless square. You get that sort of style for your spiral. Or you can go for, say, some of the more visual ones, such as image brushes, and you can go for fuse, create something like that. Now you'll notice here, you've got the color red, and that's because of the red down here. Just click here and change that to no color, and you've got the actual design there. And again, you can modify here the size, and you can create a variety of different designs. And of course, there's many others to choose from as well. So you've got that one, which apparently is C-chain. So you can see a lovely C-chain spiral created in Affinity. The spiral designs can also be modified by filter effects. Now, if you want to apply a destructive effect to it, simply go up here to Pixel and Filters and just go ahead to Distort and maybe use Glitch. Any of the filters can be used. Straight away, it is now no longer a vector design. So you can just change here the strength and also go maybe for this one, Scramble. And you can see you can create a whole range of different designs from all of those lines and click Apply. And now, of course, once you've got this, you can manipulate it further. However, if you want to apply a non-destructive effect, all you need to do with this spiral still selected, simply go up here to Pixel and then down here to New Light Filter Layer, Distort, and you can do exactly the same as a whole load of different ones as well. But I'm going to go with Glitch. And in Glitch, you can see then I can go down here and I'm just going to go for Waves, say, and I can modify the glitch strength. You can see I just changed that. Also, I can modify the channel ordering, etc. And you can see a variety of different results from that. I'm just going to keep it RGB there. But also you can modify the blend mode. So if you want, you just go dark and multiply, etc. But also what you can do, Once you've applied it, you can close it, then go over here to the layers, and you can always right click and simply duplicate, and that will distort it slightly more, and again duplicate again, so you can create interesting wave effects. This design, this spiral, is still live, so you can still just go up here, select the spiral. That's the key thing. Go the spiral tool selected there. You can still modify this. You can turn the number of turns, change it from 7 to 8 or 9, etc. Maybe change it in a radius like that, and also modify the style, etc. Also, you can always go to effects, just click there, and again just add, say, 3D, change the radius, and close to create a slightly more unusual, sort of random looking spiral design in Affinity. Hope you found this of interest. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Bye.